No, Bumblebee, I didn't run over a landmine. That's how the truck looked when I scanned it. Though in hindsight, that truck may or may not have hit a landmine. I had not thought of that. Well, here we are at last, the end of the journey for Transformers Generations Cyber Series here on Random Review. It is the final mold in the entire line, and we're ignoring the repaint because the repaint barely changed anything and it's basically the same toy. But for now, we're going to look at the final entry into this line as far as this series of reviews goes, Cyber Commander Optimus Prime. And I'll bet you can spot the glaring flaw to this toy right away. Probably because I lampshaded it in the cold opening. But hey, beyond that, it wouldn't have been hard to figure out on your own, now would it? Okay, so we get the basics out of the way. He's cast in the traditional red and blue shades of Optimus Prime. There's a slight metallic element to them, so they have a very nice luster to them all the way around. If I can adjust my light, because man, this thing, I have to hold this thing at a really strange spot so you can see it. But yeah, all the way around, it's pretty much your standard Optimus Prime with the blue in the rear, red up front. Though strangely enough, a lot of intermixed colors here toward the rear. He comes up looking like a very strange truck. Gap aside, we'll get to that, but gap aside, he comes across just this extremely strange looking truck that I can't really identify a use for. He's based on the little Legion class RID Optimus Prime. He shares that little transformation. It's not a bad transformation, but that's an Optimus Prime that was trying to imitate having a trailer. This one, obviously not going for that. It's not enough of one now, is there? I can't really foresee a use in this. So let's go to some of the other details. Translucent blue windows, which have been painted over in red. A little bit mismatched, but close enough. Autobot sigil there at the front. That's kind of traditional now. Big silver for the grille and the bumper. Lots of really sharp molding along the front end. I actually really like how that looks. Nice, cool angles in this toy. We'll get to you. And then toward the rear, there's not a whole lot going on here. You can see where a semblance of rear lights might have been, maybe a rear bumper, but it's all conjecture based on what molding is there, because it's mostly a hollow section. Big Autobot sigils on the side, though, and he has his smokestacks. Oh, those are going to get a little bit weird on us, too. Little rearview mirrors, too. So there is some interesting molding going on here. Okay, so elephant in the room. Yeah, he's got some massive gaps in his molding. Absolutely nothing. It's been a while since I toyed with the Legion class toy, so I can't remember how much this affected that figure. But man, like, that's enormous. Like, the rest of the Cyber Series toys, especially the Cyber Battalion Optimus, I could kind of see as something that a casual fan would pick up just because they want a nice looking Optimus Prime. Whereas this, with these huge gaps, very exposed robot mode parts, you can even see the head poking up there. This definitely screams little kid's toy. This screams play school to me, just in how cheaply it's done. And the vehicle mode is just kind of a thing that a little kid could turn it into, which is really disappointing because, you know, being the biggest Optimus in this toy line, you really expected this one to be the highlight of the series, and really the Battalion one did a much better vehicle mode than this. Also, how well is it picking up on camera that his wheels aren't actually black? There's like a slight bit of burgundy or like dark purple to them. It's very strange. It's definitely not straight black though. Alright, so the truck mode is quite a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. So we go to robot mode now, and we see if it redeems itself in any way. I will admit, big gigantic toys like this with Legion class transformations are somewhat satisfying just in how few things you do to get big things to happen. Like, look, his lower body is pretty much done already. All I have to do at this point is split the legs and have his robot mode is formed. That's a little bit... There's something strangely neat about some of this sometimes. I think that's what attracts me to these toys so much. If we split the arms across and rotate the upper torso all the way around, that forms up our robot mode chest. Robot mode hands flip out of the forearms like so. Not the greatest clearance, but they will get there. Moving those arms down into position, and then the head, in a very traditional way, flips up from the main box, and trying to get it to a snap in place. There we go. And with that, I have to hold this thing way back so you can see the entire thing in shot, the full robot mode. Like I said, the transformation is quick, simple, and there's something satisfying about that. If you're into the puzzle aspect of a Transformer, it's not gonna wow you in any way, but that's not really what these were designed to do. They were designed to be quick and easy for anyone, and that's essentially what it is. And, well, doesn't it end up with an interesting looking Optimus? We will get into that. So, first off, the head, and since this is back to Series 1 Cyber Series, we're back to those really cool head sculpts. Like, this just seems like where the artists got to put all of their imagination and creativity. It's an extremely sleek and sharp Optimus Prime with all of the necessary details, the crest and the horns and all that, but you see all these sleeked back edges and it's all curving backwards. It's the kind of head that would make a great Scourge or Nemesis Prime, especially with that brow just pointed down like that. That looks so mean. It's definitely the warrior commander style of Optimus Prime. I really, really dig that. Unfortunately, the rest of the sculpt does not hold up to how awesome the head sculpt is. He is quite gorilla-armed, and, you know, if anyone ever complains to me about how gorilla-armed Masterpiece 10 Optimus Prime is, take a look at this one and realize that his fists are below where his knees would be. That's a little bit wonky. Also, he does come with a few strange details that are not traditional of an Optimus Prime, but I don't know what they went for. The blue is now spread across the red, so he does balance his colors well enough, though the blue biceps are a little bit strange, with everything else leaning so hard into the G1. That's a little bit off-putting. Silver might have been a little bit better, but I don't know. It's a little bit strange to have that much blue that high up on him. Blue midsection, too, with the fake grill there. Does the grill even match the front one? Nope, not even close. So that's a strange detail to include. The molding itself, not bad. I mean, he's got plenty of sculpted detailing across all of his new robot mode bits, so he does look like he has something going on. He's got baby blue in the design for some reason. The forearms are the only spot to use it. Again, silver might have been a little bit more preferable. I don't know. It's a little bit strange color to use. The angular the windshields of the truck mode actually work really well as the robot chest. This is probably where the mold most suits that new head of his, and you can see just in a few shots where he would have a really cool profile. Though I can't really get by the smokestacks pointed up like on the front of his body. That's a little bit strange, and they're hard molded in. There's no repositioning them. I would love them to be like in the traditional spot, or at least on the back. This is a little bit weird, and it makes his arms look disconnected from the rest of his body, which is a little bit strange on the eye. Like most of these Cyber Series figures, very, very hollow in the back, very, very hollow along the sides, though. The legs have some very clever molding to them, where the tires are actually covering up most of the hollowness. So those don't actually seem as bad as they are, but you can see it up in the thighs. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of plastic content going on, but like a lot of these, still feels sturdy. It feels like it's solid enough to survive being played with by a young child. So at the very least, it has that going for it. But as a result, you'll see big, heavy areas with a lot of paint. The thighs are completely painted silver, originally being molded in the blue. Yes, the legs are all one piece, which is always a little bit strange on these. Okay, so we can get into articulation. It's not a whole lot, but there's some interesting things here. The head itself is jointed all the way around. It's a slight ball joint, but it also has that hinge rocking on it, so he can go up and down a little bit if he needs to. Universal shoulders with a very heavy ratchet. Very proper sounding ratchet, too. If I can Yeah, that's about as close as you're going to get. I think, that's a proper spring-loaded ratchet. Not what I'd expect in a cheap toy like this, but I guess when you're expecting a little kid to play with it, you gotta have like those really loud, secure joints. Whew, it's noisy. Elbow gets beyond 90 degrees. That's nice. Nothing in the waist, though. Once again, heavy ratchets and detents, giving you very stable poses and lots of little positions. This isn't like, Unicron Trilogy, where it's just like the leg is either here or it's there. This is a little bit better done than that. Nothing at the knee. That seems to be almost universal. The knee joints are the one thing that these things try to skip the most often. And here's the interesting thing that I never expected. Ankle tilt. Ankle tilt in a Cyber Series figure. Okay, so case closed. These things are great toys, right? This is an absolutely great toy because it has ankle tilts, because that's the universal rule last I checked. Whatever. He does have enough posability to make him at least amusing to goof with for a while, but he doesn't have enough to really keep you engaged. You're going to run out of ways of making him look pretty quickly, and it's mostly because of the lack of waist and knee articulation, which always seems to be the crux of these things. If you just had knees, you'd be so much better than you are. And if you want a little bit more accessory to him, he does have interesting molding to the hands that will accommodate a 5mm weapon. Not that many toys in the line come with those weapons, but hey, it's there if you want it. And just as a quick way to finish this thing off, I will remind you that while, he has a lot of deficiencies to him, this is originally going to retail about $20-25. If we stack him next to an Optimus Prime you can get now for $25, it's, you can kind of see where the budget went. Or at the very least, you can see what the appeal was supposed to be. Okay, you spend $25 and get this little complicated thing, or this gigantic simple thing that you don't have to worry about your little brother breaking or anything. It definitely had a place in the hierarchy of Transformers, though maybe with a better Optimus Prime to lead it. That is Cyber Commander Optimus Prime. He has merits. There's a little bit of articulation I didn't expect, and there's some really cool sculpting, backed up by some very strange sculpting and design decisions. The smokestacks are weird, the super long arms are very odd. Especially coming from an Optimus Prime known for long legs, it's his arms end up really long on this toy. That's kind of strange. But really the deficiency in him is that vehicle mode. That's a little bit unforgivable. It just makes the toy, unlike most of the rest of the line, can come off looking like a standard Transformer, but the vehicle mode on him really does make the whole thing feel and look cheap, like it was meant to be a little kid's toy line, and that's where it really gets dragged down. Oh well, it could have been so much better. And that is it. No one tell me about the stupid version of this toy with gray arms and movie-style paint apps. We're done. Like, that is the end of this toy line for me until they make Wave 3 in 2019. So we will see the return of this line then. I'm joking, but you'd be surprised how often I'm wrong about these things. You never know.